if that wasn't the case, this podcast wouldn't exist.
Correct.
The communication skills that we've developed and that we're trying to give to people wouldn't exist. The check-ins wouldn't exist. All the things that we're doing would be null and void because people would have already done the work on themselves and they would have been taught the communication skills and they would be working on fixing things versus throwing it away and finding something new because we live in a disposable culture. The definition of insanity is dating in America.
Yes. And we're back.
We're back. I don't know what we're doing. What are we doing? Ruminations and Revelations?
Correct.
This is the second episode of this.
Is it?
Yep. So this would technically be episode 17 of the side piece for those of you who are keeping count. But we have changed the name. I also changed the name today from The Book Breaks Down to Peaches Teaches.
Yes.
So that's how that reads.
It's kind of crazy to think about.
Yep.
So the other day I was scrolling TikTok, just trying to find things, piqued my interest, maybe something that involves one of my hobbies. And I came across a TikTok talking about passport bros.
Oh man, is this what we're doing today?
And women were shitting on the passport bros hard.
Of course they were.
And I had to do a little bit of digging because I've heard of passport bros in passing, but I really don't understand why so many people are up in arms about it.
It's not so many people that are up in arms. It's the women who don't want to change their behavior who are up in arms about it.
So apparently it's just the hardcore feminist women that have a massive issue with it.
Yep. You chose violence today, huh? You woke up and chose violence.
Is this violence?
Is this what we're doing?
I'm just trying to navigate things and get a better understanding.
So full disclosure, we're going to get a lot of hate for this.
Yeah?
Yep. I mean, we get a lot of hate from feminists anyways. Just be prepared for that. I don't care. I really truly don't care. Just know you're going to get hate. You've already been called a gender traitor. You've been called a slave.
I've been called a white supremacist.
Yeah. That's the racist thing is what they resort to last when all the other things haven't worked.
Right.
To try to like get you to conform and submit. Oh no, I'm not a racist.
Yeah, there's nothing anybody can say that hurts my feelings.
Yeah, I don't care either.
So, in this TikTok, the feminists were making their points about how it's unfair to American women, that they're taking away the opportunity for marriage for American women, that men are abusing foreign women, going to underdeveloped countries and luring them.
Luring.
And
wait a minute, wait.
Yes.
You said, the first thing that you said is that they're saying that they are taking away the ability for American women to get married?
Yeah, like they're lowering the options for women in America.
The standards for marriage are already so fucking low that people who consider themselves men's of means, who want traditional values, are already leaving.
Oh, yeah.
These are men who would not be marrying those type of women, so much so that they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to another country, stay there, work visa-wise, until they find a woman that's worthy of their marriage, and then bringing them back here.
Right.
So it's not that whole statement. If that's what they believe, that says a lot.
Yeah, it's actually really mind-boggling to me. I don't understand how you can have the mindset of men ain't shit. I don't need no man.
And then get mad when they go to another country to find a woman.
Right.
Okay.
There's a disconnect.
Yeah, there really fucking is a disconnect. Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the gentlemen on that podcast said, so what they're doing is they're forming a relationship and they say, if you love me and take care of me as my wife, I will do the same for you and provide financially so you can stay home. And he was like, isn't that what relationships are?
It's what traditional relationships are.
Even in relationships where they're both working, the agreement is I'm going to love you and I'm going to take care of you and I'm going to make you feel wanted.
Right.
In exchange for the same thing from you or financial stability, whatever's happening. That is what a relationship is. In exchange for me doing all the wifely things I do for you and going above and beyond and making you a priority in my life, I don't have to work.
Right.
I have the ability to stay home and spend more time with my kids and do home cooked meals and plan out my own cookbook. my life is super dope, and we are doing exactly what the passport bros are doing when bringing women back.
Right. The only difference is I found you here.
Right.
Patron.
I
didn't have to go to another country to find it.
Right.
I got lucky. I got really lucky in that we found each other the way that we found each other, and things played out the way that we did. You also said that they're going to other countries and how did you word it? Or manipulating women. How did you word that?
That they're abusing women in low-income countries or more poverty-stricken areas.
Okay.
And manipulating the situation, and their power dynamic is unequal.
We know from the conversations that we've had on TikTok and the amount of people who say things like in Latin America, this is standard. What we have is the standard in Latin America. In Japan, what we have is the standard. In the Philippines, what we have is the standard. In Indonesia, what we have is the standard. It's not a standard here.
Correct.
So for people to leave here and go to those countries where that is normal behavior, how are they abusing or manipulating? That is normal behavior.
Right. In reality, in a lot of those areas, a lot of the men aren't really up to par. There's a lot of crime, a lot of rape going on, victimizing. So when men go over there with the opportunity of, I'm going to love you, I'm going to protect you, I'm going to shelter you, there are women who are like, yes, I will be the most amazing wife if you love me the way you say you're going to love me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've seen videos where people have said that the women in those countries can't speak English, so they come over here not knowing what's going on. You realize that English is taught as a second language in almost all schools and almost all the way across the country.
Yeah,
world.
I'm pretty sure it's mandatory.
Yeah, in most countries it is. Most
Yeah.
like educated, if you have to go to school K through 12 or whatever the school system is over there, we're the only school system that it's not mandatory to learn multiple languages.
Correct.
English is the most spoken language on the planet. So much so that in China, it is the greatest population of English-speaking people because there's more people there than here in America.
Yeah.
So to think that you're going to go to the Philippines and not find somebody who can't speak English, you're out of your mind. That's taught in school. It's mandatory.
Yeah.
Iceland, I mean, anywhere. I can't think of any country that I know of off the top of my head that English isn't taught before you get out of high school.
Right.
Even if it's a class or a semester, you still have to do it.
When I've been out of the country a lot. Every country I've gone to, there is a language barrier. They can still communicate with me more than I can communicate with them.
Right. Because it's not taught here the way that it's taught across the world.
It's just crazy.
Here's a thought too. Our English is American. It's not true English.
No.
And it's been diluted so much that we have our own dialects of English, of American. If you listen to somebody from Boston talk or somebody that's from the Appalachian Mountains, you have two very different dialects of the same language.
Yeah.
When you listen to other people talk around the world, their English is better than ours.
Yes.
So for that to be an argument is insane to me. Here's a thought. Even if you came, I keep hitting this thing, even if you came from a country that didn't speak English very well, and you were in poverty and you had a horrible situation and you saw an out, wouldn't you want to take it?
Right. And in exchange, all you have to do is maintain a household.
Right.
And love a man. Yeah.
How is that any more degrading than OnlyFans? How is that any more degrading than a woman who's already here that comes from poverty finding a man with a little bit of money and manipulating him to do a come up? Is it the issue that that a man with money is no longer available for those people to get that come up because they're going somewhere else? Or is it the issue that you're not willing to change who you are as a person to land a man who's going to other countries to do these things? Because if you were willing to change and meet the requirements that these men have, passport bros wouldn't be a thing.
Yes. You know, I've heard women say that it's getting to the point now where women are becoming men, so why do we need them? I heard that statement from a feminist and I was like, what the fuck did you just say? Like, that was one of the most mind-boggling things.
It's not like false though. Like there's truth behind that.
Right.
The more feminine, or I'm sorry, the more masculine women become and the more feminine men become, you lose that dynamic. And for people who want to keep that dynamic that matters to, you're going to have a hard time. And with the government ran school systems in America doing what the government ran school systems in America are doing, that divide is getting, closer and closer where you have a hard time differentiating what's what. You don't have all of these fucking things going on in other countries.
Yeah.
They're not doing that. They're not playing the games that we're playing here.
So I did some research, like I said, on Passport Bros, and some of them have given interviews as to why they do what they're doing going overseas and trying to find. We just got an email back from them.
Dope.
And somebody said a lot of these women overseas are taught from a young age from their mothers and members of their family how to treat a man and how to make their future husband happy.
Right.
This is someone from Colorado who said that he is looking for a kind and cooperative partner who has a positive view on men.
Who has a positive view on men.
Yes, I think that last statement is key.
It says everything. It says everything.
As a man, why would you be with somebody who constantly says, I can't stand men. I hate men. Fuck all of you.
Yeah.
But keep paying my bills.
We hear that shit constantly. Men hear it constantly. We fucking know. It's getting to the point where people don't want to date anymore. Mm-hmm. That's why swipe culture is so fucking prevalent right now.
Yeah.
Because why would I want to commit to somebody who on a base level hates me because of my gender?
Purely because of your gender.
Right.
Not your quality of character. Just based on other people's actions who also have a penis, you are by default also part of the problem.
Right.
It's wild to me.
What's wild to me is that he had to specify that.
Right.
What are you looking for in a woman?
Somebody with a positive view on men.
That's in the top 3 things of what he's looking for in a woman.
Yeah, he said kind. I'm going to be honest, there really aren't a lot of kind women out there. Constantly, when I'm out in public, I can see you guys looking at me super snarky. I can see you judging me. If I'm wearing a bodycon dress, I'm a curvy woman. I see you guys.
What is a bodycon dress?
Something that's very form-fitting.
Oh, I like that.
Like my brown turtleneck dress.
I don't like the turtleneck aspect of it because I like seeing the tattoo on your throat.
Yeah.
But I like those form-fitting dresses.
Yeah, I get a lot of dirty looks from other women when I'm in that dress. I do get a lot of hype. I do get a lot of hype from other women. I do want to clarify. Every time we go out, you see it. A woman compliments me for something.
Yeah.
But I see you out there. I see all of you spiteful women being judgy and bitter and just not kind in general. And of course, to clarify, men do that too. It blows my mind that we have to clarify something that to me is very common sense, that if it applies to one person, it can apply to anybody.
That's the case with most intelligent people. The people that come in and go, well, what about this? Men do it too. What about this community? What about that community?
What about it?
They don't have the intelligence level to keep up with us. I'm done doing that.
Yeah.
If you can't keep up with our conversation and you have to bring in other points to change the narrative of the conversation, you're not on my level. Go talk to the wall or find like a 7th grader, because they're going to be more on your level of conversation. I'm good on that.
I thought I screenshotted it. I can't remember where I saw it, but somebody said that it is an unfair advantage to argue with somebody with a low IQ because they have so much experience in it.
Okay.
Like if you're an intelligent person trying to have an argument, you will never win because you do not have the experience to process at such a low level.
Yeah. I mean, you're not winning an argument with an idiot anyways.
Win it.
Yeah. There's no winning those. Yeah.
It's not, you can't even have a basic conversation because everything to them is an argument. And they're going to win that argument when in reality, you're just incapable of having a conversation.
Right. You don't have a battle of wits with an unarmed opponent.
Another thing that he said was cooperative.
Right.
And people are going to throw up about that word. They throw up about the word submissive. They want somebody who's not going to every single day fight about whatever the fuck is bothering them that day.
Right.
You left the socks on the floor yesterday. My day's ruined because of it. And now your day's going to be ruined.
This falls into that conversation of why would I want to handle my woman? Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to handle anyone. I got enough going on in my life that the last thing I want is to come home and feel like John Wick.
Right.
Good on that.
He went on to say, but in America, I think a lot of women are taught men ain't shit or I don't need a man.
Yeah, until they want their bills paid.
Do you know how many TikToks I've seen of women saying like, yeah, we've proved that we could do the thing. I'm exhausted. Can a man come take care of me?
Yeah. No, we can't. No, you fucked that up already.
And it was it's a lot of like strong, independent women who are like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of being independent. I am tired of being strong. I want a man to come and provide for me so I can stay home and cook and clean and just...
And be a mother.
Yeah. It's okay to admit that you want that.
Yeah, but admit that you want that early on instead
Right.
of destroying lives and then realizing it later.
He is correct in that women at a young age are taught men aren't shit. You don't need a man. Look, I bet if you ask a child who is with a single mom, watching their mom go through it, watching their mom cry, watching their mom be stressed because now she's a mom and a dad, that child's gonna be like, yeah, I wish dad was here just to see my mom have a little bit of an easier life.
Yeah, I think most kids would wish their dad was there just because they want their dad there.
Right. Older children, 15, 16,
that I agree with.
able to recognize that their mom is really struggling. They can see that a two-parent household dynamic, everything is just easier.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you preach to your child men ain't shit or women aren't shit, knowing that you are setting them up for a life of hardships?
Yep. We've had those emails.
I'm good on that. Yeah. We've had those emails specifically from young women in their early 20s going, I lived my whole life as fuck men. I don't need a man. I'm a strong, independent woman. I'm in my masculine, treated all men they were in relationships with like shit. And now they're like, oh my gosh, I was that person.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to me. So another snippet from that article is a lot. The truth that a lot of people don't want to admit is that dating overseas is absolutely different. There are very few men that will tell you that dating outside of America isn't 5 times better. Do you think women in other cultures have the mindset of it's a free meal?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that that's the case. I don't think that mindset exists in a lot of other places because a lot of other places isn't as toxic as our country is. Mm-hmm. We have been force-fed a narrative that a lot of other countries, because they don't have the income that we have, haven't been force-fed.
Right.
The introduction of the television in American homes where they got TVs in every single room started an indoctrination in people. Mm-hmm. It changed the way that we view the world because the television is telling us how to think.
Right.
Now it's social media and the internet. We have that in abundance compared to other countries. I'm not saying that they don't have it there. They just don't have it to the extreme that we have it. They still have values. Mm-hmm. Divorce rates in other countries are nowhere near as high as it is in America. The home structure is still prevalent in a lot of places. Family structures are still prevalent in a lot of places. I believe that statement. Mm-hmm. I would bet that most cultures isn't swipe culture. Like, you're not going over there and meeting a girl on the first night and honking in the driveway. Come on, bitch, let's go. Like that doesn't exist.
If I were going on a date and a man pulled up and honked at me to come out and get into his car, I'd be like, nah, bro.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's a text message now, but I'm old.
You would receive a text message of, okay, the date's canceled.
Yeah.
I'm here. Come outside. No, you can go ahead and leave.
Yeah.
And for future reference, I would tell them in that text message, it's very impolite when you're courting somebody to send them a text message of, I'm here. You come to the front door.
Right.
You do the gentleman thing and you walk me to the car and you open the front door.
That comes down to standards.
Yeah.
You realize that everything that you just said comes down to self-worth and standards. Mm-hmm. You're not going to treat me like a side piece.
Yeah.
You're not going to treat me like my worth is nothing more than I'm here to give you a little bit of my time. Mm-hmm. That's not how that works. It's an ebb and flow.
Yeah. You know, another thing, I don't know what train of thought, how I just got onto this train. It's something you said triggered it, and I'm going to change the conversation. Do you think one of the reasons that passport bros go overseas to bring a woman back is they know they don't have to worry about her entertaining men in the DMs or this is my life, I can live how I want, going out to clubs, dressing provocatively, seeking the male attention without crossing the line?
Yeah, that's exactly, that is a very prevalent reason as to why they do that.
Yeah.
Because they're dedicating themselves to the man. Mm-hmm. That's what men want. If you want to have a monogamous relationship with somebody, I'm also going to real quick. I know that people who fall into that passport bros things, there's a subcategory of those men who are like, it's okay for men to cheat. It's normal, blah, blah, blah. That's a very big thing that goes on. New patron.
Hey guys, if you're seeing this, Chris must have just shouted patron. And patron means that we just got somebody who just subscribed to our Patreon.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know what that is, Patreon is a member-based subscription website that allows us to do early release, live streams, exclusive content, vlogs, and we have our own Discord server that is exclusive to our Patreon community.
That Discord is absolutely insane. It is an ever-growing community of like-minded people who you could say practice what we preach, have implemented the things that we have suggested, and it's working.
Would you go as far as to say that they're getting better?
I'd go as far as saying that they're definitely getting better. So if you have questions, you need unbiased opinions, you don't feel safe going to anybody in your present life, I would highly recommend checking out the Discord.
Yeah. Also, for those of you who don't want to support us financially, that's totally fine. The best thing that you can do in terms of helping us grow this channel is by sharing our content. The more people that see what we do, the more likely it is to get shared. The more people that are going to support what we are doing, the longer we are going to do this. Back to your regular scheduled program. We're not doing that.
Right.
I'm not talking about those men. If you believe that could even fall into religious aspects. I can tell you that like the idea of entertaining two women and having to deal with two different personalities, I'm good. No.
I'm a lot.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
I agree with the passport bro thing.
I'm going to be honest. Yeah. If I were a man in the dating world today and a vast majority of women are the way that they are, I'm good. I would either stay single or I would go somewhere else. Find somebody who would actually appreciate my hard work and my dedication and the blood, sweat, and tears that I put in to provide a house and a roof and food. And if she wants to be a stay-at-home mom, be a stay-at-home mom. And she would be appreciative of the fact that she's not out there killing her body and having to deal with people and coworkers and all the drama that comes with it.
We've said a lot on the podcast that we do for each other.
We do.
And our relationship is better for it. Not just our intimacy, not our marriage. The relationship between the two of us is better for it. If I was doing something that made you uncomfortable, I would stop doing it. You wouldn't have to ask me. You'd be like, hey, I just know that I noticed this. It made me feel a certain way. And I'd be like, cool, I won't do that again. And if I do, remind me like that we had this conversation. I don't do the thirst trap TikTok shit. I don't do the Instagram fucking thoughts. Like I don't care about any of that shit. I don't put my time and energy into that because I'm cultivating a good relationship with my wife. You do the same thing. The better I treat you and the more I provide for you, the more you do for me. It is an exchange. We work for each other to get the best life that we can possibly have. When we got together, you were working a full-time job. You now have the ability to be a stay-at-home mom because I have money and now we have a lot because the podcast is like, we're doing a lot. I shouldn't say we have a lot. We don't. We live comfortable, but we have a lot because we've got so much going on. And even though you're a stay-at-home, you do still work because of the podcast now.
Right.
But there was a time there where you didn't work. You did the house things exclusively. And it was after working a 60-hour work week.
My life was so peaceful.
Yeah. Do you think that is any different than a man going overseas and meeting a woman, them creating a bond, and then him going, hey, let's get married. I'll move you to America. We can continue this. I'll provide for you. I'll take care of you, make sure that all your needs are met. You just keep doing what you're doing. You won't have to work. You'll be out of poverty if that's the case. I really don't believe that's an argument. I really, truly don't. I know that people will make that argument. I don't think that a man of means is going to slum it to try to find somebody in a low income country to bring over here, knowing that there could be potential money that has to be sent overseas, like to take care of the family. And like, I could be wrong. I just don't believe that's a thing. I believe that they're finding middle-class people in other countries, and this is what I have to offer. You have traditional values in your culture. I want that in my life. And then they go and they have an arrangement like we have where they work for each other. He does everything he said he was going to do, and she takes care of everything on the other end of that. They're not combative. He's not having to handle her. They're not having, like you said, the thirst trap shit on the internet, entertaining multiple men because they went from having standards in their lives and expectations of what marriage looks like because it was instilled in them since childhood, which is not here. They're not going to entertain that shit. I honestly think that whole scenario is just a modified version of what we have. The only difference is you weren't brought up the way that you were living. You were brought up the opposite and got this. But if you were brought up with all of those values and lived a mediocre life and had the ability to level up and all you had to do is be faithful to a dude, like, and he treated you well, right?
Come on. I think what they're doing is smart as fuck in all honesty.
I do too.
Isn't it the definition of insanity as recognizing that there's a problem and then repeating the same behavior and hoping for a different outcome?
Yeah, and that's dating.
Right. So what they're doing is widening their dating pool. And if they have the means to do that, good for them.
Yeah.
Go out there and find a quality person who's going to appreciate you and the things that you do. And if you guys are bitter about that, take a step back. Ask yourself, what am I doing wrong for American men to be fleeing the country to look for wives elsewhere?
Right.
That's crazy.
No, what's crazy is you just defined insanity, and that is actually dating in America.
It is, yeah.
Every relationship that we have ever had until this one has failed.
Correct.
Most of the time, people aren't doing the work in between relationships to be better.
The other person was the problem.
Right. Oh, of course. It's never me. I'm fucking flawless. It's always them. Come on. Me. But if that wasn't the case, this podcast wouldn't exist.
Correct.
The communication skills that we've developed and that we're trying to give to people wouldn't exist. The check-ins wouldn't exist. All the things that we're doing would be null and void because people would have already done the work on themselves and they would have been taught the communication skills and they would be working on fixing things versus throwing it away and finding something new because we live in a disposable culture. The definition of insanity is dating in America.
Yes.
Holy shit, is that profound?
I say some good things sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right up there with the toilet paper comment.
The toilet paper one, yeah.
Yep.
You still processing?
It's just a lot. It is a lot to process. I know that there are people who truly hate on the passport bro thing, and I've seen the opposite side conversations too, where the women who are in other countries have made TikToks and been like, "You say that we're in perfect English." Normally they're Filipinos. I don't know why that's what shows up on my TikTok, but it's always Filipino women saying, "You say that we're uneducated. I speak 3 languages. You barely speak 1." Like they rip these fucking women apart. I respect my men. You clearly don't respect them at all. If you knew how to cook, I have a cookbook that I wrote myself. Like if you knew how to do X, Y, and Z, your men wouldn't be leaving other countries to find women like me. So who's really the superior woman? And I'm like, holy fuck, dude.
Yeah.
And I agree with all of it. Like I have to heart react. I can't even, what more do you want me to say? Mic drop? Like amen, sister? Fucking.
Yeah, that was nothing but facts.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, I'm creating cookbooks for both of the kids.
Speaking of your cookbooks, those Betty Crocker cookbooks,
Yes.
that is a smug ass photo of that woman on those books. I almost posted a photo of that in Discord and been like, look at this smug bitch.
I'm going to be honest. I was looking at that and I was like, I kind of want to create my own like mock Betty Crocker, but my face.
Yeah, just don't look like that. She looks like, I know I can cook better than you. We're going to take a picture of that and stick it in Discord because those cookbooks are old as shit.
They are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have actually found, so I want to have a wooden cookbook. I'm going to put our last name on it. It's going to look really nice. It's $100.
Etsy?
It is on Etsy, yes. It's $100 and it's massive and it can hold like 300 pages. I'm going to put all of my recipes in it. And then I found 2 smaller ones that are like $30 on Amazon that are still wooden that I'm going to get engraved for the kids that says for my son and for my daughter. And when they grow up and move out, I'm going to give them cookbooks.
Yeah.
How many of women can say that they've done that, created their own cookbook, and then provided cookbooks for their children when they moved into adulthood to set them up for, you're on your own, this is it. I didn't know how to cook when I moved out.
I got to be honest, I don't think that a lot of people do. Everything is microwavable or DoorDashed.
Right.
Fast food. It's cheaper to buy food-like products from McDonald's than it is to grocery shop. That's why we have such an obesity issue. Lower income families are all overweight because it's cheaper to buy McDonald's than it is to cook a meal. And it's easier and it's faster.
I mean, it is easier, it is faster. Is it really cheaper though?
If you're a McMillionaire eating off the dollar menu.
Well, every time I take the kids to McDonald's, which I haven't really done in a while because their chicken nuggets make me uncomfortable.
Right, but you're buying Happy Meals.
Right.
It's not the same thing.
Even if I go off the dollar menu, like if I do value shit, it's still $15, $20 every time we go. If it's dollar menu.
For 3 people.
Right. 15 or $20.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think it's cheaper to eat off of a fast food menu than it is to cook.
There are people who have broken down making meals for $2 to $3 a day.
Yeah.
Like if you're getting dried beans, rice, if you're portioning chicken for the week, it's definitely doable. There are people who make meals for 80 cents a day.
Wow.
Another thing that just popped into my mind is that a lot of women aren't willing to delete their Instagrams or their Snapchats to have a good man in their life. A good man, a good quality man is not going to want his woman shaking her ass on the internet and posting provocative photos on Snapchat every day.
Snapchat, I can understand the deletion aspect of it. Instagram and Facebook, things that you've got a decade or years of your life on, deleting that would be a little harder. Locking it down and removing people, I think, is a more appropriate ask. Like, I wouldn't ask you to delete your socials. I would ask you to delete people off your socials if they're being inappropriate or it made me uncomfortable, but I would never ask you to actually delete your social medias.
Okay, so I'm going to rephrase that then and say, if a man were to say, it makes me uncomfortable, you showing your breasts like that on the internet.
Right. Changing your content is also a reasonable ask.
Okay.
Unless that's their livelihood. If that's how they're making a living as an influencer and it's a sexualized influence.
Then you knew that before you got into a relationship.
That's damn right. You checked their fucking Instagram. And that could have been why you were trying to holler at them. And now that you got them, you can't go and be like, hey, I'm uncomfortable with this. You knew what the fuck they were doing when you got them.
If you were reaching out to a woman specifically because she posts provocative shit on her Instagram and then go, well, now we're in a relationship, you have to stop, you're out of your damn minds. Yeah. That is not how that works.
But how many people of value do you think are going to go after those women with the intent of commitment?
Oh, very little.
I got it. You know what you're looking at.
Right.
You do. Like, if you want to rent a sports car for a day because you want to experience that adrenaline rush, it's no different than finding a thought on the internet, fucking smashing and then returning the car. I enjoyed it for the day. I got to say I did that.
Yeah, it's not a long-term vehicle for me.
It's really not. It's really not. I know that I'm not trying to do this long-term.
Yeah.
Hang on one second, because this is Adam about the whiskey wall. Okay. So on that conversation of passport bros, when you look at the Andrew Tate people, that circle, Andrew Tate, I think his name is Sneeko or whatever his name is. He's a younger kid that used to make reaction videos on YouTube that is now part of their little social circle. And there's another guy that's there who was just on Pearly Things recently. Him and Sneeko were both on the show, and they asked him, where do we find men like you? Like, where do we meet men like you? And he was like, if you think that you're going to meet a man like me at Whole Foods, you're wrong. I don't grocery shop anymore.
Oh, yeah, no.
I don't. I mean, you grocery shop for me, but if we weren't together, I'm not going to the grocery store. I'm not cooking. I'm going out to eat. I have money. Why would I want to spend my time preparing food, cleaning up after myself when I can go to a restaurant, sit down, have a good dinner with a friend or two, have a drink, and leave and not have to worry about shit other than paying the tab? So when you have men who have money like that, you're not meeting them at Target. You're not meeting them at bars. You're not meeting them. Like, you have a very different social circle coming into those things. Those are the group of men also who are looking into the passport thing because they don't know where to go to find a quality woman, because the places that women go to find men is not the type of place that you want to find a wife at. So how does that look? Like, for a man who has the traditional values and maybe even has the financial means, where should he go to meet a woman?
What do you mean, like a woman like me?
Just in general. Like, so if you have a man who is that quality man that is able to provide and protect and has the financial means that could set you up for the rest of your life, do you think they're going to go to a club in Miami and that's where you're going to meet them? Because I guarantee you're not. If you meet somebody like that at a club, they're looking at you like a piece of meat. It's not long term.
All right. So I hear a lot, like in the comments and whatnot, dudes are saying this guy's so lucky.
Talking about me?
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
And like, where do we find women like her? And you're asking me, where should dudes go? A woman like me, with my values, my morals, and my thought processes, you're not going to find somebody exactly like me. That's not going to happen. I'm going to be at a garden. I'm going to be walking around a botanical garden. I am going to be at a bookstore. I'm going to be probably in Hobby Lobby.
Doing shit that most men aren't going to be going and doing.
Right. I'm not going to the bars.
Right.
I really don't even go to the Starbucks anymore. It's been a hot minute since we've had Starbucks. Hiking. I'm going to be out in the wilderness. I'm going to be doing outdoorsy things, interests that I enjoy doing. So, I don't know. Walk around Hobby Lobby, guys.
Here's a thought. Same process, right? Because
Right.
you're not going to find people who have value like that. And what you just mentioned, who you are, your character traits, the person that you are valuable. You are a return on investment.
Yes. I'm a multiplier, you could say.
Right. And I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that I am a return on investment. The more you do for me, the more I'm going to do for you. We are investing in each other and we are getting a return
Right.
in love, right? Every businessman on the planet, everyone who has money, everyone who is trying to play the long game understands ROI. I'm not going to make bad investments. A relationship, marriage especially, could be a very bad investment for somebody who has money. So dating long term to even get to the point of potentially marrying somebody is also a risk. So if you get into a relationship with somebody who has the standards and shit like that you want, and you're not able to meet your end of the bargain, regardless of how dope they are, you are a bad investment to them.
Yeah.
So if you look at relationships like a business transaction, because when you break it down like that, it fucking is, this thing is going to drive me nuts.
Yeah.
And you look for your ROI and how that person that is coming into your life is going to be an asset to you long term, that changes the way that you date.
To clarify, ROI means risk on investment.
Return on an investment.
Return on investment.
Yep. There's a risk assessment that comes with your ROI. There's a lot. There's a lot that goes into big business decisions. You don't just make those decisions. You really fucking weigh the options and you do your research. And if you think that a high value man who's making $1 million or more a year is not fucking doing his research, you're out of your mind. Or a high value woman. You get somebody like, who was that chick that worked for Hewlett Packard that ran for president in 2016? Her name was Carly. Her name was Carrollton Fiorina. I don't even remember why I was looking this up now, but she was the CEO of Hewlett Packard from 1999 to 2005. And she was the first woman to lead a Fortune top 20 company.
Right. You're talking about women who do research and businesses.
Right. So she's up there. First woman to run a Fortune top 20 company. You think that a woman who has value like that's not doing her research and risk assessment and like looking at everything that she does as a return on investment, how I can level up and you know what I mean? Like there's a selfishness that comes in that. If you're not bringing value to what I'm doing, I can do it by myself.
Right.
That's the same mentality for a lot of men who are in high value positions. If you're not going to be an asset, you're not going to be a good investment and you're not going to bring value to my life, I don't want you here. I have too little time as it is to be worrying about personal relationships while still trying to do everything else that I'm trying to do in life. So you can either be an asset and be on board and not be combative, not be highly fucking, throwing shit in my face and emotional and trying to make me handle you and where the fuck have you been? And like, there's a whole lot that comes into that. If we were starting a new business, you would expect me to be gone at least 80 hours a week.
Right.
And there would never be I'm so sick of you not being home.
No, I would actually expect you to be like sleeping in the office to wake up at 4 a.m. to keep going.
And that's not unreasonable.
Yeah.
That's not unreasonable. That work ethic and that need to succeed and that willingness to put myself out and be in really shitty, uncomfortable situations is something that a lot of people don't have because people want that 40-hour or less work week. And that's never been a thing for me. I've never had I've had a part-time job that was 32 hours a week, and that was the least I've ever worked. But even in doing that, I had side hustles. So like I still worked all the fucking time.
You putting yourself in that uncomfortable position, for example, we're opening a business. And like I said, I would expect you to sleep in the office, get an hour or two a night, wake up and then keep grinding because the faster you're done with it, the faster you can get back to your normal life.
Right.
You putting yourself in that uncomfortable position, in turn, you not being home is going to make me uncomfortable. Going to bed without my husband's going to suck. That is my uncomfortable position, like my uncomfortable sacrifice that I'm making in turn to you making yours.
Right.
So why would I make your life hard about that when what you're doing is going to benefit me in the long run?
Right. And that's the mindset. That's the investment.
Yeah.
You are putting yourself out. I'm putting myself out. We are both striving for something greater. If you start creating waves for me, what are you doing? Why aren't you home? I made dinner 2 hours ago, whatever. and you're constantly blowing my shit up. I miss you. You need to come home. And you're making my life more difficult while I'm trying to build. That becomes a problem. Now, there is a level where it's not physical labor anymore. Everything is subcontracted out. I believe that should be a thing too. When you get to a point where you make enough money, you should be hiring people to do the things versus trying to be a jack of all trades. So that frees up time. It allows us to do things together, make decisions together. We're going to get to a point with the podcast where people are going to sponsor us, and we're going to be on business calls where the two of us are sitting down talking to a team of people versus me just responding to emails. We're not there yet. When we get to that point, it'll be a lot more inclusive for you. But for me to bring you in on all of those stupid things instead of just filling you in on them later, it doesn't make sense. When this really gets there, it's not going to be like, let me relay. It's going to be I have 3 o'clock available from 3 to 3:30. Is that enough time for you to talk to the two of us? We'll put you on speaker. And that's how we'll deal with that. But we're not there yet. But that also comes down to delegating. So back to the passport bros, because we just side railed really fucking hard.
Well, I was just thinking, is that one of those things, as a man, if you were not married, would you look to being a passport bro as an option?
Yes.
Is that something you would look for as a woman who understands the grind that you have to go through as a businessman? Because we hear it all the time in America, on the internet, on TV, in emails. He works too much. He's not home enough. I don't get enough of his attention. I'm a stay-at-home mom and everything's taken care of. He's great with the kids. I only get to see him on the weekends for 3 hours.
Right. If you can't handle a man like that, don't get a man like that. Everybody wants somebody super successful until they realize how much work goes into it, and then it's a problem.
Right.
You want the money and you want the vacations and you want that lavish life, but you don't want the work that comes along with it. This is no different than the people who go, one day I'm gonna be rich. No, the fuck you're not, because you're not willing to work for it. You're okay being comfortable and skating by with just enough to survive versus actually getting out there and like risking and doing the work and putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. I would not, if anything ever happened, I'm not dating in America. It's not worth it to me to risk or have the headache or put myself in a position where I have to deal with the negativity that I see on social media and that I see in the emails that we get. I'm good on that. It would take a lot. Somebody, if I was a single man and I was looking for a relationship, there'd be a whole lot of, you have to prove yourself to me before we even start courting.
Oh yeah.
And knowing that I do have the ability to do the passport thing, I absolutely would do the passport thing. I'm not going to lie. I would probably rent a place for a year and just pay for it in full, fly over there, stay there for a year, run my businesses remotely, meet somebody, and then come back with them. Like that makes the most amount of sense to me, because I wouldn't want to date. Like I wouldn't want to be involved in the dating process here. I don't like what dating looks like in America. I don't like that everybody's expected to smash right away, or the how fast people lose interest in each other and the disposable mindsets that we have. This shit doesn't appeal to me. It's easier to be alone and fucking worry about my life and grind than worry about another person's, especially if that other person's gonna be a fucking problem for me.
Yeah. I'd probably go to the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Yeah. That or Italy. Yeah, I wouldn't be willing to deal with the men who are, it's a photo, get over it.
Yeah. I think that really speaks a lot to the downfall of our society as a whole, because there's no loyalty there.
Right.
You expect the loyalty from your partner, but you're not willing to give it to them in return. And that is that. Babe, she makes me uncomfortable. I would rather you not talk to her. No, we've been friends forever. So you're telling me that my needs and wants as your woman doesn't matter, so you're telling me that I don't matter. That's really what that comes down to. But at the same time, if he was like, fuck you doing talking to that guy, he would expect you to stop talking to him. And if you were like, well, that's my friend, I've known him forever, you guys would have conflict. And I only use that example because we've seen those emails. I don't know. I don't understand that shit. Like, you have to make a decision, and you can say that's insecure, and you can turn it into a negative as much as you want to turn it into a negative. If you're not willing to put your partner first and make them a priority in your life, why are you in a relationship with them?
Right. You know, I think a lot of the passport bros, what they say, like a lot of them are looking for the traditional values with the stay-at-home wife, all of that. I think if the women in America just change their mindset a little bit, a vast majority of women would like to still work. Staying home is a little bit too much for them. They can't handle the isolation.
Fuck that.
I'm sure the passport bros, if you had just the mindset and the morals and the values minus the pink job, blue jobs, they would start looking in America again. It's the mindset that's driving them away.
Yeah. I mean, I would still want the pink and blue jobs, but that's just me.
Right.
Nobody wants to work. People who are like, I'd love to have a career. No, you don't. You want the security and the independence and the benefits that come with having a career.
I think it's also the recognition.
You want to be famous. You want a name. Like, what is it that you really want? Because nobody works because they want to. Working sucks. If you have a passion and you're doing something that you love doing, it's not working. So for people that pick a career, that hate their fucking jobs, that wake up every morning and be like, today's the day I wish this motherfucker would. I got my resignation ready. Let them try me when I get to work. Nobody wants to do those jobs. Nobody wants to experience that. And you can become a CEO and like make millions of dollars. You're doing it for the money. You're doing it for a career and like the prestige that comes with it. You're not doing it because you love that job. As somebody who does still work, because I am a restless soul, I don't do well with downtime.
You don't.
I would love to be in a position where I can do all my work over phone calls. All right, team A, this is what we need to do today. I'm available from 9:30 to 11. Team B from 11:15 to 12:30. Take a lunch break from 12:30 to 1. Team C, I'm available from 1 to 2:30 and work my entire day like that and only have those phone calls with those teams on specific days of the week so that I can delegate responsibility, pay people to do those jobs. It means I get to make more money and I can just check in when I need to, go check on the businesses. That's the dream. Right. Does that sound like work?
No.
Because I can do that while scrolling Facebook, put my phone on speaker and watch YouTube while having conversations. Obviously that looks different for everybody. Everybody's lack of work looks different. I could not fully retire. I need something to keep me occupied.
Right.
I think that as our life sits right now, if I was to stop doing all work related things and we had enough in the bank to live for the rest of our lives and not have to stress about money, like if we were enough like interest payments every month was enough to live off of, I would still have to do something. We'd have to live in a van and travel and do photography or something to keep myself occupied, but that would eventually become a business. It would consume me like everything else does.
Right.
I don't think that I have it in me to just sit around.
I agree with that.
But I also know that that because of that mindset, I need a traditional woman because I don't have time to do all this shit here.
Right.
So having you do this while I'm doing everything else, that teamwork goes a long fucking way. And if you were bitching and complaining all the time about having to work in the house and take care of the things here while I'm doing everything else, I will hire a maid. And then at that point, you've become combative with me. We're no longer complimenting each other's weaknesses. There's no intimacy there because all you're doing is bitching at me. At that point, what would be the reason for somebody to be in a relationship? I see it that way.
I agree.
I don't know.
The other day when you were editing on the computer and I was cleaning the house and you came in, you were like, we're both working. I just wanted to come say I miss you.
Yeah.
That was a good moment for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I am working. I think I'm going to dedicate Mondays to just doing a deep clean of the house.
While I do the premiere shit.
Right. So it gives me 4 or 5 hours to like really just clean things.
Yep. People want to compare their jobs and keep score. Well, I work harder than she does, or he works hard, or I work harder than he does, or I do more around the house, or I do more with the kid, or whatever the argument is. Instead of just going, okay, all of this has to get done, and some of these jobs are going to suck more than others, but this is just the way it's got to go to get them done. And once they're done, we can relax. I got to be honest. There's times that I'm dealing with people in terms of the internet or the podcast or whatever that I don't want to fucking be dealing with people. I would much rather be dealing with nobody and editing. If that was my job, was to edit all day long and I didn't have to fucking talk to anyone, that would be gangster for me because I can do that by myself. Right. I don't have to deal with personalities. And that's where one of my shortcomings comes in. I'm very good with people and I'm good with business calls and things like that. I just don't enjoy it. So just like I'm sure you don't enjoy aspects of cleaning the house, it's just got to get done.
I hate doing laundry.
See, and that's the easiest thing for me.
Oh,
it's so simple.
But I can never let you do it.
Yeah.
I would offer to take over those phone calls and shit, but I'm not the decision maker.
Yeah.
So I'd be coming to you. I'd be middleman.
I truly would not be comfortable with you doing that anyways.
Yeah.
Yep. I am not a control freak in a lot of things. I'm
Right.
really not. There's a lot of things that you'll ask me. I'm like, whatever you want to do, babe. I don't care. Because it's just, you're trying to make me make decisions that I don't want to make. But when it comes to finances and businesses, I'm all hands on deck. Like I will never be able to give that control up. Because I have failed a lot and I've learned a lot and I'm further along than most. So like if I'm giving that up, I'm giving it up to somebody who's much further along than I am. Otherwise, I'm not comfortable doing it.
Right.
So, and even then, because I do have people in my life who are further along that try to give me advice, there's a lot of times that I don't take it. I'm like, this doesn't feel right to me. And because it doesn't feel right, I may have a lesson to learn and this might cost me some money, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do what I feel like I need to do. I think that working together, that teamwork aspect where I was editing and you were cleaning and then I got into the premiere and you were still cleaning and like we were doing the thing, people would see me sitting in that premiere and think that I'm not doing anything other than watching YouTube and talking to people, but it is work. We're monitoring stats, we're monitoring metrics. I have the mods that I have to worry about. I have to monitor the chat. And then while I'm doing that, I also have other browsers open and I'm going back and forth and I'm checking Spreaker and I'm checking bank accounts and PayPals and t-shirt orders. And like that 2 hours is downtime because I do get to converse with people, but it is still work. Because if I didn't have to do that, I wouldn't be sitting at my computer for those 2 hours. I'd be at the park walking or doing cardio or fucking watching television for the first time in the daytime in months, you know? Anyways, the whole point of me bringing all that up is that when you have two people that are working like that and we are investing in each other and investing in the jobs, that comes down to the passport bro thing too, because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for somebody that's going to make their life easier and still have a romantic relationship with.
And not complain about taking care of the house.
Right. And not have to deal with the conflict. You know, Steve Jobs wore the same thing every day.
Yes.
Because it was one less decision he had to make. He had black turtlenecks, jeans, and same shoes every day. That's all his closet was. Because when you don't have to think about what you're wearing, that's one less decision you have to make. People drive to work the same way every single day. You turn down the same roads. You are on autopilot. How many times have you been driving and went, oh my God, how did I get here?
Oh, yeah.
You're on autopilot. Those are less decisions that you have to make, which allows you to free up computing processes for other things. The less decision making you have to make in your life in terms of your personal life, the easier it is to be successful in your business because you can focus that brain power towards the business at hand. So knowing that I focus on all of that while you focus on everything that goes on in the house, it frees up my brain to allow me to do those things. You not having to worry about the business end of things allows you to read, study plants, crochet, knit, or whatever it is that you do. Spend time with the kids, go to the park, all of that shit. So we are taking care of each other in that aspect. We are a team that falls back on the return on investment. If you don't have that with your partner and you are a high value person in terms of your finances and the lifestyle that you are living, you're a bad investment.
Wow. I think we should title this Return on Investment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, when you think about it, the dating pool, there is zero.
No, I agree.
Sometimes we're in the negatives.
A risk assessment.
Ask yourself, are you somebody who is going to be a return on investment for somebody else?
Yeah.
Do you feel I'm a good return on investment?
I definitely think that you are an asset, which makes you a good return on investment. Yes.
Okay. You do that thing where I ask you a question, you answer me with an answer that really doesn't answer my question.
It does though. That answers your question. If you were not an asset, you would be a risk. So like with my return on investment, the way that I look at things, I look at what is my return going to be? Long term, is this going to make me a net positive? Or is this going to cost me money? If it's going to cost me money, what is the benefit that I'm going to get in the short term by doing this? And then I look into is this person going to be an asset, or is this this thing going to be an asset, or is it going to be a hindrance? Because if it's going to be a hindrance and it's going to net me a negative long term, there has to be some sort of short-term gain that I'm going to get, gain that I'm going to get to make this worthwhile. And then I have to sever my investment before it becomes a net negative. Does that make sense? You want me to dumb it down?
That was a lot, and that was really fast.
Okay. So if I looked at something
Okay.
like, trying to think of an example, I'm trying to put it into people terms, so it's not as easy, but if you are a highly ambitious person that I know wants to own their own business, right? and you want to own the business that we're in, and you've made it very apparent to me that you have no interest in working with me long term. You want to get your foot in the door to level up, and then you're going to jump ship and go do your own thing. Your ambition and your work ethic and your desire to learn short term will make you a fucking powerhouse for the company. Long term, because I know you have no interest in being an intrapreneur and owning a segment of my business, you want to do your own thing. Long term, you would be a net negative. Because,
it's competition.
If you leave and open a small business in the same town selling coffee and bakery shit, right? Say that's what I did.
Right.
I don't, but and you were going to open 2 miles down the road doing the exact same thing, and you've built a relationship with a team. So when you get ready to open, there's a possibility that the team that we've already put together may leave to go work for you. There's a net negative there. There's a risk assessment that has to come. How much benefit would you bring to me working while building your craft and doing all of these things to be there long term? If I knew that you were kind of on the fence and I was like, hey, we live in this town, 15 miles away is another city, we could open a second location, I will float the entire bill and you'll be 40% owner. All you have to do is go run the team, hire people, do the job, order. I'll float the entire bill. And then 10 years from now, you can buy me out at what the business is worth. That would be more appealing to somebody.
Yeah.
It would definitely be more appealing to me because I know that you're not going to fuck me when you leave. You're not going to steal the team that we've built. We're going to build another business. And in 10 years, you can buy me out. And I'm going to make profit during that time frame to make back my initial investment. That's a net positive long term. So that's my risk assessment in that person at that time.
Okay.
So in a negative net assessment, I would have to sever ties with that person before they got big enough to take my team, become my competition, etc. And that works through all kinds of things.
Okay.
So a net positive short term in a dating scenario would be I get a piece of ass for a little while and somebody to go on dates with that might make me laugh. A net negative is that she's thirst trapping on TikTok and Instagram and has no real longevity, or she only sees me as a paycheck. At some point, I have to go, okay, I got to cut my loss before this becomes a net negative. Long-term, net positive, return on investment, the risk assessment is there, is that somebody's got traditional values, and maybe we don't see things eye to eye on certain subjects, and I have to bend a little bit, or she has to bend a little bit to make it a net positive long-term. You then become an asset because you're willing to bend a little bit. I'm willing to bend a little bit. We have the ability to grow something fucking great in our household, and everything else beyond that is benefit. Like it's just extra profit as far as I'm concerned. And here's the perfect example of that. The fucking podcast.
Okay.
We started off as a married couple
Right.
who had a dope fucking relationship, tons of intimacy. Everything was the way everyone dreams their relationship would be. And we started making TikToks out of boredom.
Right.
It slowly became a business. The podcast is become a business, and we are netting a decent profit, and the growth is exponential. We have no idea where the ceiling of this is. There's a very strong possibility that by June of next year, we could be at 1 million subscribers according to all the metrics that we've been seeing on the internet.
Right.
That is a side benefit of our marriage, the relationship that we have, the intimacy that we have, and this has become our profit.
Yeah. I'm hung up on the fact that you used past tense,
What do you mean?
that we had intimacy and we had a dope relationship.
Well, I was talking about what was going on a year ago.
Okay.
I think that, I mean, I would like to think that we still have a dope relationship.
Okay.
I can't speak for you. I think we have a dope. I fucking danced and sang to you in the bathroom yesterday.
Yeah, you did.
Our relationship and intimacy is there. I don't question that.
Okay.
But when I'm speaking past tense and I'm talking about what was going on when we started all of this, that's what it was.
Okay.
Because it was talking about that time.
Right.
I think that I think our relationship is better now than it was. Real shit. Like I do think that our relationship is better now than it was a year ago when we started all of this because we have a deeper understanding of each other.
Yeah, we've had conversations that we never ever would have had otherwise.
Right. There's definitely different stresses because there is a whole lot of other things going on, but I don't think that takes away from the relationship. So speaking past tense of had versus now, our relationship is very different. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
But it's better. The intimacy is evolved. The intimacy is evolved a lot Because it's no longer, I mean, the sex is still amazing. I'm not speaking about sexual intimacy. I'm talking about emotional intimacy and like spiritual intimacy, because there's that now too. And like we have much deeper conversations than we would have had a year ago because of our level up. We've both grown a lot in the course of a year because of all of this. I honestly don't think that we would have gotten this far with our emotional maturity and understanding. 2 patrons in a row, back to back.
I love that.
Me too. It makes me feel good. I don't think that we would have made it here. I think that if we did, I think that it would have taken us at least a decade to do what we did in a year.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the podcast.
100%.
And I don't mean that just because of like the editing and the recording and all that. I mean that because of the conversations we've had and the arguments and like the meltdowns, because we've both been emotionally drained from this. And there's been times where you have had to step back and be like, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. I can't take it. And there's been times where I've done the same thing. And it's not because we don't want to continue the podcast, but there have been other factors that have stressed us. The abuse calls, the emails, the content, the amount of content, the downtime that we lost. Like there was things that we had to overcome, and we did. And we overcame them with grace. There's a small little issues here and there, but they were minor.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we would have, I don't know. Only way I can say that is I think that we are intellectually superior than we were a year ago.
I agree with
that.
that.
Like if you were to put us side by side, like I feel like my brain is bigger than it was a year ago.
Yeah.
I have so much more to offer now than I did.
I definitely feel wiser.
Tell me that it's not exhausting.
Oh my God, just constantly. I'm falling asleep at 7:30.
I mentioned the exhausting thing because we had our last day in St. Augustine, we had a hiccup. And I went down the fucking rabbit hole in my head for about 4 hours. And like, I pick apart everything now from a relationship standpoint because this is what we do. So when we have these conversations, I really analyze the shit out of my brain.
Me too.
And it's fucking exhausting. You know how easy it is to be ignorant and just be mad?
Yeah.
It's so much fucking easier than having to go, okay, what's the root? Is this really what's going on? Like, okay, should I really have said that? Did she mean it when she said it? Did that combination of words mean the way that I took it or the way that she said it? Like,
yeah,
it's fucking exhausting to overanalyze your life like that. And now that we have the tools that we have and the understanding that we have, it's even fucking harder because ignorance is bliss. I can't just be like, you're a bitch. I don't like the way that you talk to me. I'm leaving for a little while. And then go drive around, listen to music until I'm calm and come back and act like nothing ever happened because it doesn't resolve anything.
Right.
That drive, although I would never speak to you like that, I that was more for comedy, because that is an ignorant thing to do. That drive now would be a fucking mess. I would get like 2 blocks away and pull over onto a side street with no houses on it and just rip myself apart until I was able to figure out what the fuck went wrong and then come back and apologize.
What?
It sucks.
Do you remember when I looked at you and I said, I know you know I already think this, but I want you to know I think you're a good man?
Yeah.
It's because I was sitting there ripping everything fucking apart.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is very exhausting. Very, very exhausting.
I'm still processing a lot of that conversation and trying to find out where I stand in certain aspects of it. And I'm not angry about it. There's not like animosity or resentment there. It's just I'm still working through how I need to address things moving forward, when it's okay to say certain things or not. Like there's things that I have to figure out still.
I get that. I'm doing the same thing.
At some point, we're going to get past that, and we're going to have a conversation on the podcast about that because there was a lot that we unpacked in a very short amount of time that could really benefit people. And I think that a lot of that comes down to perception. And I think that a lot of our conversation that day came down to perception because we were seeing situations very...
very differently.
Yeah. It's one of those things that having those conversations too sucks. Like it really sucks to have those breakdowns, especially when you're on vacation. You know what I mean? And you're supposed to be having a dope time and there's a disruption. But looking back on it, those disruptions are super fucking helpful because it's going to allow me to handle myself or you to handle yourself in a different manner so that we don't have, because had nothing gotten said, right? Had nothing ever gotten brought up and either one of us just kind of push shit aside. This is just the way they are, whatever. That's not going to ever get resolved. That behavior pattern is going to be the same for the entire relationship And all it takes is that one little disruption of 3 or 4 hours where you have a conversation and you reflect on it and you can improve. Which is why it's fucking exhausting, because it's so much easier to just be who you want to be versus having to rip yourself apart, internalize, and then restructure your thought process to not act like that anymore or not repeat those behavioral patterns.
You know, and having those conversations too, it changes my perspective on things.
Yeah.
You know, hearing your side of things, the way that you perceive things, my brain would never have been able to formulate on its own. So in those moments, I'm literally taking my perspective, shattering it, and piecing it back together with your understanding along with mine and seeing where it is, you know, and in taking in your perspective, you're right. I do have to be like, okay, damn, I can see where what I did was an overreaction, or how I said did come across super shitty. Yeah.
That difference in perception is not just perception. Every time I do that, I want to speak with like a foreign accent.
Yeah.
Just to make it funny, but I have to like dial that back because in my head I am doing that. When we have those moments, not only do we have a different perception of what's happening in the moment because of our life experience and the cognitive bias that happens there, but because we haven't experienced that conversation yet, we don't know how the other person is perceiving it. So there is an ignorance there. And because we know each other so well and we see our behavior patterns, we see our facial expressions, we understand each other's body language. There are times that we have full-on conversations without a fucking word to each other, and we know. And later I'll text you and be like, I can't believe that we fucking had like on the same wavelength there, like, because we've had that too. Because we have that, when we are wrong in our assessment of what's happening in the moment, it does create more of a conflict than there would have otherwise been, because we are so used to being able to know what's going on with each other without verbal communication.
Right.
And that I also think is an important thing to remember. We're very vague right now. And it's intentional because I don't want to speak out of line.
Right.
I don't know. This was not where I thought this. I enjoy these ruminations and revelations.
Yeah.
The whole point of us changing the name from the side pieces so that we can have these conversations and derail and it not be a big deal. I think that we had a productive conversation about Passport Bros. We both gave our opinion on that topic.
Right.
But everything that has evolved past then gives us a different look into conversations that we would have not otherwise had. Like my view on relationships is return on investment in assets and net positives and net negatives. Like that is the way I assess all of my relationships.
Right.
It's why it's so easy for me to cut people off in my life, because if I think you're going to be a net negative, I don't want you here. I need to make sure that you are bringing value to my life because I'm trying to do that for you. And if we're not bringing value to each other, I don't want you in my circle. Like,
Right.
So, and that obviously falls into our relationship as well. And if it got to the point where I was a hindrance to you, I would need you to tell me how to change to not be a hindrance. And I would expect the same from you. But if it got to the point where we were not bringing value or adding value to each other's lives, we would really need to sit down and evaluate how to get back to the same thing, because I wouldn't want to live that way.
Me either.
Yeah. Do you think that obviously that falls into the want to be the best version of you for your partner? We talked about that a lot in the first 10 episodes of the podcast. Do you think that mindset is beneficial in terms of us growing the way that we've grown? Because that is still very much a mindset.
Yeah.
I don't want to be less than for you.
Right. I want to be the best version of myself for you.
Right.
I want to be somebody that you're proud to brag about and show off to the world and say, yeah, that's my fucking wife.
Do you think that's your ego? Or do you think that's like, my man's proud of me kind of thing? Because I guess maybe that's ego too. Is that ego?
I would say it's a standard for myself.
Yeah.
I would be absolutely horrified if to the public, they were like, oh, his wife is coming. Oh. I would be mortified. Not only does that put a bad name on me, that puts a bad name on you. And I guess in every aspect, I want to add value to you.
Yeah, that's service.
Yeah.
That is what it is to serve, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy. This falls back into the selfish versus selfless conversation that we had on the live stream the other night. We need to do that too, as a standalone. Or, I uploaded that. I just need to clip it. Go me. I did that last night Actually, all of the live streams that we've recorded over the last 3 weeks are all on the Google Drive for me to put on the other computer to clip
You're so smart.
on it. I've totally forgot I did it until just now. So
Yeah.
go me. It's there. Past me looking out for future me.
Look at you.
That is service. That is putting your base wants and desires on the back burner from time to time to make sure that your partner has what they need. People who are showing gratitude to their partner for working or cooking dinner or taking care of the kids when their person's tired or whatever it is that they're doing to provide some sort of servitude to the household, to the family dynamic to make it better. That is how you grow as a family. That's how you cement that 80-20, 50-50, 60-40, 70-30 lifestyle, because it's not always going to be 50-50. It's not going to be 100-100. We've had that conversation a lot since we've started it. Sometimes that shit looks like 80-20. So much so that now when people send us videos where people are saying that shit, I was like, I said that shit a year ago.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here with that. Like, we've been talking about that.
Unimpressed.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just now getting on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to tie all this back into the Passport Bros thing, but I think that people are going to other countries and finding relationships, trying to get what we have, because it's easier to get it from people who have the values that we have instilled in us.
Right. Who were raised with it.
Right. And though I wasn't raised with it and you weren't raised with it, we had an idea of what we wanted. So then it was just a matter of working for it and trying to find an asset to get what you want out of that. I got lucky because you're fucking banging. So not only did I get a traditional woman, I got a looker arm candy that like I get to fawn over all the time.
Yeah.
So like all the boxes are checked, not just some of the boxes.
I love that for you.
I love that for me, damn it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I'll whistle at you and fucking catcall you in parking lots. I give zero fucks.
I love that you do that.
Zero fucks.
It makes me feel really good about myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're the only man I want catcalling me though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That what does that say about people's love life? How do I word that? That's not how I want to word that, because that sounds condescending. What does that say about people's ability to love? Right? Because I love. I don't give a fuck who sees that. It doesn't make me look weak. It doesn't make me look like a simp. If we did something together and I bought you a bunch of presents and threw you a surprise party somewhere and people were walking by seeing all of that, I don't give a shit. If you did it to me, I would be embarrassed because I'd have to open gifts in front of people, and that's weird for me. You know that though.
Yeah.
But that falls into people going, oh, look at him being a simp for his woman. Like, he's such a fucking weak man. Like, I don't see that as a weakness. I am proud of what I have in our relationship. So me doing those catcallings and whistling and the public displays of affection and like doing shit for you in public so that people can see it, like, it makes me feel good because it is a form of me. It's showboating.
Yeah, it makes me feel good too. Knowing when I turn around, all I see is you, and people get to see that interaction. Yeah.
There's definitely no shame there. There's a lot of people who are ashamed. You know, the emails that we've got that were like, you know, when I first started opening our car door, I felt really fucking weird about it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And like the women who are like, I took his boots off and the way he looked at me was incredible. And they're like, and the guy's side of it was like, it made me feel kind of weird. No, it didn't, bitch. It made you feel amazing. Your woman saw it in your face. Just accept it. Like, let me love you. You know, I don't know.
You know, in those moments too, where you like catcall me or whistle across the parking lot, there's that sense of like, yeah, I'm his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I give zero fucks. This is not going where I thought this was going.
What do you mean?
Do you remember we went and saw the 4th John Wick movie and the dude walked out of the door before us and shut the door on his woman?
Yes.
And like he was like 6'4" and she was like 4'10", and that big ass door came flying back and she had her phone in her hand and had no clue that door was coming back. And I caught the door, and he looked back and I held the door, and then you walked through and I made that eye contact with him.
And then he turned around and tried to catch the second door.
Yeah.
After his girl was already through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I'm better than those people.
Yeah.
So when I see them and they look me in the eye, I give them that look of like, you disgust me. Right?
The little look down does it for me.
Yeah. I size them up. You're not a man. You're a fucking child. Like, you want me to hold the door for your woman? Let me show you how she's supposed to be treated. Come on, babe. Like, it's so bad.
Yeah.
And I thrive in that shit. It makes me feel really good about what we have when I can do things like that, because most people don't care about their partner the way that I care about you. So, and that falls into the value thing, which can also go back, you making my plate when we're at family gatherings while other people are making their own plates, and you making my plate and setting it on the table and then go getting your plate and me waiting for you.
Yeah.
I know people see that shit. And I know that a lot of people don't have that, but I know a lot of men who wish they did. And there might be men out there who be like, I don't want that shit. I can feed my fucking self. Yeah, I'm sure you could.
Right.
But there's an act of service there, and there's an act of love there, and there's a special feeling there that I'm getting that from this person that no one else is getting. There's a side of you that I get that no one else gets.
Oh, yeah. You know how many comments I see of dudes just saying, bro, I wish. I wish my girl would. Someone send this to her.
Yeah.
It's nonstop.
I think when we get those comments moving forward, we should be like, what are you doing to deserve that?
Yeah.
That should be our answer on TikTok. When people are like, I wish I had that, what are you doing to make that happen?
Yeah.
Are you being the man that deserves to get that attention from your woman? Because if not, you want a servant and not a woman. There's a difference. I want to start being mean to people on TikTok again.
Yeah, I've been hitting people with, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do with that information?
Yeah.
And they unfollow me, or they block me, or they delete their thing, or they ignore it.
Were you in the chat yesterday when that guy was in the chat talking about how our DS relationship, or the DS aspect of our relationship, even though he didn't know it was there, he was guessing it was there because he was somebody that didn't really follow the channel, was like, that's the reason why you have the relationship you have. You don't have traditional values. You have a DS relationship, and the two aren't the same. And like, it got to the point where everybody in the chat was ripping them apart, and I finally just blocked them from YouTube.
Right.
Were you in there when all that was
No.
going on? Okay.
I was cleaning.
I brought that up because of the amount of misery that people feel because they see the happiness we have, and like they want to try to downplay what we have to somehow make themselves feel better about their life. Wouldn't it be easier to just fix your shit?
Yeah. There's a lot of bitterness in that too. I know a lot of people aren't attracted to me, but I'm a very ample person, and I have the values that I have. And I think it's very sad that men who feel some sort of jealousy towards you feel the need to attack our relationship on the very most minimal, basic level of it. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because you're out of your fucking mind if you think people don't find you attractive. I heard everything else that you said,
Right.
but I'm hung up on that. You have no fucking idea, man.
I could tell you had that face of, the fuck did she just say to me?
Yeah, because I can't believe you just said that. People fawn over you everywhere we go. You are hot shit. You just don't see it. You just don't.
I think compared to, I don't know. I have done a lot to my body. I don't look very natural, I suppose, with my piercings and my tattoos and my dyed hair. I don't know. I wasn't expecting you to get hung up on that.
That's because you're talking about my woman, and I
Oh,
don't appreciate it.
my apologies to her.
That whole aspect, the people that get jealous and talk shit to me because of the base thing that you were talking about, doesn't faze me.
I just find it sad.
It is.
Right. If that's what you want, then work for it.
Right. I see that as pathetic.
Yeah.
I really do, because I understand that misery loves company. I also, and I made a TikTok about this the other day, I don't understand how people have so much time to argue with people on the internet.
Oh my God, they spend hours doing it.
But I don't understand that. Like, are you at work? Are you on the toilet for hours a day? Are you at home playing video games and you're just texting in between? Like, how do you have so much time to argue with strangers on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook? I don't. I know that it's a joke that if you see something on the internet you don't like, you can just keep scrolling. Like, that's a meme. I don't comment on anything I disagree with. Nothing.
Oh yeah, no, me either.
And if I agree with something, I'll be like, preach. Just keep going. Like a positive acknowledgement. Keep going. Keep doing your thing. I'm not going to argue with anyone. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I post like questions.
Yeah.
If I don't understand something, I'm gonna ask you to clarify. But I'm not gonna shit on your thought process.
I don't know.
I just like understanding people. If I
I
can
know you do.
understand a new thought process, then it's gonna expand my horizon, I suppose.
But don't you need a conversation for that? Like, you would need, I would need a back and forth. I couldn't do it in just 160 characters. And I'm not going to sit there and wait.
It depends. It depends.
On?
What was said in the video, what my question is, their response. A lot of the times, the way they word themselves, and the way they word themselves, I can tell. I get a better understanding of them. Do you know? So criminal psychologists have created like outlines for serial killers, right? They have this massive database. They've looked at certain characteristics and they pieced things together and they say they most likely had this kind of childhood or whatever. That's like an ongoing thing in my brain. I look at people, I understand them, and I categorize them. And I put like-minded, okay, so I'm adding, this is another puzzle piece to that. I'm going to add that to there. And I have a bunch of little puzzles going right now.
Your autism's showing.
Is it?
I don't know. My brain doesn't work that way.
No.
I don't judge people based off of their thought process. I judge them based off of the quality of their character.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
So like the thought process, if I'm going to have a conversation and engage somebody with something that they disagree with me on, it needs to be a productive conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So I can absolutely have a discussion where you have points that I don't have, or I have points that you don't have, but I'm not going to treat you less than because you don't have those points. I want to understand why you feel the way you do, and I want you to understand the way I feel the way I feel. And if we're not being disrespectful to each other, we can be friends afterwards.
Right.
And I have friends who don't believe the way that I believe, and they are some of my closest friends because I respect their decision to feel however they feel. So even though I might not shop at Target ever again, if you do that, that's your decision. I don't hate you for it. Mm-hmm. It's your choice. And that's, the conversation there that would need to be had is why I feel like I'm not going to and why you feel like you should. Not saying you or me, but just in general, if that was the conversation, so that I can understand why you're okay with that. Because if I was not okay with that and I had my moral reasons as to why, and yours were not moral reasons, yours were just, I don't care about corporations, and we don't have that conversation as to what the root is, how am I supposed to know who you are as an individual? Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm not willing to have those discussions on the internet, because on the internet, it's name calling and bigotry and stupidity versus actually having an intellectual conversation where things are going to get to the root so that I can understand people, because people on the internet don't want to understand you. No, they don't. They don't give a shit about your opinion. They feel like their opinion matters the most because selfishness, me. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I don't know how long we're into this at this point. I feel like we should probably wrap this up.
Yeah, it's been at least an hour.
Do you have any other thoughts on Passport Bros? Because damn, did this go off fucking left field.
No, I don't. No.
If you were a woman who lived in another country and a Passport Bro met you, would you leave your country to come to America for a better life if that meant you had to have the relationship with them?
The way that we have a relationship? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do you think that you would be able to ascertain that within a year? Because most of those men go for 6 months to a year and then come back, or however long their visa is. Do you think that you can know enough about a man within a year to marry him and commit that life?
No.
Okay.
If he's serious about it and he sees the value in me, he would make the trips.
Back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Knowing the current state of affairs of women in America, yeah. I have something that you want. I have very clearly shown you that I am capable of doing these things. In order for me to feel comfortable marrying you and leaving my country, you would have to come back more than once.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see that as unreasonable.
I think that there are people that could hit it off in 6 months to a year and make that work. Mm-hmm. I do.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think the hang up for me would be leaving the country and moving to another world that's not familiar at all. Leaving your family behind and uprooting, like there's a lot that goes into that. You really have to want to level up or be very secure in the relationship to do that. Mm-hmm. I also wonder how many of the women that do that just to gain access to the country, because you get a visa.
Right.
You get married, you become a citizen. And that's a very real thing for a lot of people. People want to be here. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have to come illegally and you don't have to worry about going through the fucking crazy process that it is to get here, some women could see the marriage aspect as they're in.
Yeah.
And that could be enough for them, and it could be a temporary thing. They could be here long enough to gain citizenship and then, I don't know how that works long term, but I would think that after they've been here for a while, even if they got divorced, they could stay.
Yeah, I'm not sure on the time frame, but I'm almost certain that's the thing.
Yeah.
After a certain amount of time of being in the country and being married.
As a woman, would you be okay with a transactional marriage like that? Okay, so let's say, all right, because I'm kind of curious, and I wasn't prepared for this conversation when we sat down. So
okay,
if we didn't know each other, and you were, I'm going to use the Philippines because that was the TikToks I saw. And I went to the Philippines and met you, and we hit it off the way that we hit it off, like you and I are. And I was like, I want a woman who can be faithful, that checks all the boxes that you check, that does the traditional value thing. And even though I'm not in love because I haven't known you long enough to be in love with you, if I bring you back to America, we can live as boyfriend, girlfriend, be married, do the thing. Obviously, we're already doing the thing at that point. Would you be okay with coming to America, playing wife, getting the green card, even though we may not be in love with each other, just as a level up? You're going to provide something to me. I'm going to provide something to you. This is a transactional thing that has sexual activity involved, and it could develop into love. And in worst case scenario, we have a loveless marriage where we fuck and you get this life that you want, and I get something that I want out of it. Is that enough for you? Like, could you as a woman agree to something like that and it not be like an emotional mess or feel like you're somehow being put out? Because I think that there is a level of that if you look at it as a business transaction.
No, I couldn't do that.
No?
I would feel like a maid that you get to fuck every once in a while.
You would feel
or
like
whenever
a maid?
you want to.
If you were
if
driving,
there was no love.
If you were driving a brand new car, had all the money that you've ever wanted, living in a country that you've always wanted to live in, and all you have to do is keep a house clean, make a meal, go on dates with a dude every once in a while, be that wife when you're in public and at business meetings, and you already have a foundation of intimacy because you were fucking before you moved.
Right.
So the hope of love could be there. I'm saying in the event that love is not there when that offer is made.
Okay. So if it's there when that offer is not made, there would have to be a conversation of, okay, say we give a go at this, and it's been 5 years and the love just never happens. I am somebody who needs emotional intimacy, and I need to feel that.
Okay.
So what are my options?
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what the options would be.
Right, but that would be the conversation.
Right. That's a good conversation to have.
Yeah. Like I would still be willing to maintain the household, do all of that. I don't know. What if I fall in love with somebody else and I want to build that life with them?
I was literally just thinking that.
Yeah.
Because on the opposite side of that, knowing that the love is not there, if the love doesn't happen in 2 to 5 years or however long you said, 5 years, would the man then be worried about his woman doing foul shit on the internet or talking to other dudes or the monogamous aspect of that? I wonder if he would be okay with that. I got to be honest. I wouldn't want to. I personally wouldn't want to marry somebody unless I knew there was like at least an emotional attachment. Because I'm a pretty good judge of character. I think. I think could be wrong. But in a 6-month time frame, I obviously I know about the obsession phase and like I know a lot more than the regular Joe does because of what we're doing. But I would think that within 6 months I would know if it was just lust or if there was actual emotional attachment. And if it was emotional attachment there to somebody in another country and I wanted to bring them back here, I would hope that there was going to be a loyalty and a monogamy there. I would be offering that in return. That would be part of the arrangement. Like we're not fucking other people. I guess that the passport bro conversation is a lot deeper than just the why of it all.
Right.
Because there's consequences to your actions. You bring somebody over here and you marry them, and let's say you're worth $10 million. You're going to have to give up some of that money if things don't work. Even if you get a prenuptial agreement, the money that you guys make while you're married, some of that's going to have to go to them.
I'm fairly certain that you're responsible for them for 10 years too. So if they're not living with you and they don't have a job, you're going to have to support their lifestyle because you brought them here out of the country.
I don't know how any of that works. I didn't look into any of that.
I'm almost certain that's the thing. So could you imagine bringing a woman over here, she decides to leave, you now have to support her lifestyle, and she's probably with another man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that happens to men across the country all the time. Men who pay alimony will like women, will get alimony from men and not get married until the alimony's done because they don't want to lose that money.
Yeah.
Because if you get remarried, that alimony stops. So there are women who are in 20, 30-year relationships with people who are still getting alimony from an ex that are not fucking going to ever get married. That time frame is probably wrong, but I know for a fact that there are women in long-term relationships who are collecting money from an ex while living with another dude or having a dude live with them because that financial stability is there.
How hard is it to fake your death?
I don't know. Now, I would imagine it's a lot harder now than it ever was before.
Oh, yeah, because of the internet and everything.
Yep. Wild. Anyways, we're going to leave you guys with a whole lot to ponder because I could just keep doing this.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything else you would like to add to the Revelations, Ruminations and Revelations Part 2?
No.
Nope, I don't. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye, guys.